Selamat pagi Bapak Ibu hadirin sekalian, selamat datang kembali di ACIIA Regional Conference 2024. Tepuk tangan meriah untuk kita semua dong. Wow, sudah memasuki hari kedua. Good morning and welcome back ladies and gentlemen to the second day of the ACIIA Regional Conference 2024 at the Bali Nusa Dua Convention Center. Banyak acara-acara yang sangat menarik dan juga insightful yang akan kita simak bersama pada hari ini. Dan kami mau ucapkan lagi terima kasih ini kepada para sponsor karena berkat para sponsor inilah acara kita bersama bisa terselenggara pada hari ini. Terima kasih sekali lagi kami ucapkan kepada Astra International, Deloitte, Diligent, Insight Consulting, Perusahaan Listrik Negara, RSM, Walter Kluwer, Arbutus, Bank Sentral Asia, Indonesia Financial Group, Jasa Marga, Pertamina, Pupuk Indonesia, dan juga sarana multi infrastruktur. Dan untuk Bapak Ibu kami juga persilahkan sudah melihat ada begitu banyak booth dari para sponsor kita yang terdapat di area foyer. Bapak Ibu, saat ini kita memiliki 4 sesi diskusi panel dan juga masih ada door prize logam mulianya. Jadi Bapak Ibu yang kemarin malam tidak ikut cultural night tidak usah khawatir karena door prize logam mulianya akan diberikan hari ini, begitu ya. Jadi ada 3 door prize logam mulia. 2 door prize logam mulia dengan berat 0,5 kg serta 1 door prize dengan berat 1 kg. Jadi tidak usah khawatir akan dibagikan pada hari ini. Jadi mohon bisa terus mengikuti acara ini sampai dengan akhir karena nanti di akhir nanti kita akan memberikan door prize logam mulianya untuk Anda sekalian. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now ready to begin panel session 4 titled Internal Audit Transformation featuring Mr. Naohiro Mouri, CPA, CIA. Yeah, Mr. Naohiro Mouri currently serves as the chairman of the International Internal Audit Standards Board. He is also executive vice president and chief auditor of AIG. Mr. Mouri previously served the ACIIA as chairman of the Institute of Internal Auditors, Global Board of Director for the ACIIA Japan, and a past president of the Asian Confederation of Institute of Internal Auditors. And he received the ACIIA's Victor Z. Brink Award for distinguished service to the profession in 2021. Please welcome Mr. Naohiro Mouri.
Selamat pagi. Assalamualaikum. Good morning. Are you awake? That was the wake up call, for you. So, how is everyone feeling? Too much food last night? Too entertaining? Okay. You will get the door prize today if you stay. You have to stay, because many people left, and then that's why we actually did the, running and, just couldn't hit anyone, right? So please do stay. So the topic this morning, I know that you're still feeling, stomach with your breakfast, but I will start the conversation about the innovation. First of all, how many of you think innovation is difficult? Raise your hand. Okay, so most of you think that innovation is easy. It is not. But if you're very clear about what you want to do and how you want to do it, and it's about the commitment. It's about changing the way, Salian said yesterday, diversity of idea is very important. right? If you're doing the same thing last 10 years, and if you think that you can actually do the same thing over the next 20 years, you're wrong, which is called status quo. You understand the meaning status quo? Staying the same. If you're staying the same, everyone else moves up, what happens? You go down. It means slow death. So if you do not innovate, if you do not renovate yourself, then your meaning, your existence will become minimized. Okay? So you always have to have the problem identified and then start talking about it. So please go to the first slide. So, yes, yeah, go ahead, just keep clicking. Yes, thank you. So, my problem at AIG, I run audit shop that when I became chief auditor in 2018, we had 400 auditors running the entire AIG business auditing year over year. We had a problem that paradigm is shifting. What I meant by paradigm shifting is through the pandemic, through the different ways of working, you know, how many of you do work from home today? Only few? Really? You still come to office? Are you sure you want to come to office? Really? Okay, good. Well, I guess you guys are a little diligent than those who are actually, living in U.S. Most of the U.S. folks today only come to office maybe 3 days a week, 2 days a week. For me, I come to office 4 days a week because I need to be in touch with my stakeholders. So completely, paradigms shifted. Most people do expect to work from home, right? So if you shift working from home, you have to have a technology to support what you do. You have to change the way that how you evaluate the work. And you have to give them the tool, you have to train them to do that. Because all you do is just wherever you are. Like I can actually do my work from here in Bali, Indonesia, talking to my stakeholders in New York or London or Tokyo or, Sao Paulo. That's possible. As long as, you want to stay up throughout all day, you work 24/7, that's possible. And it's not physically possible, but, that's doable. So you have to build the infrastructure. You have to employ the tool to do that, okay? And second point is risk emerge faster than ever, right? It used to be that risk emerge and then people actually do deal with it. But anything that happens today gets on social media. And it's spread around the world in nanoseconds, right? Do you feel this way? Maybe not in Indonesia. But you do use social network, right? If something bad happens in your organization, what happens next second? You actually find it in Facebook, the LinkedIn, the Instagram, and X. It gets spread throughout the world. It actually creates very different speed by which your reputational risk actually occurs. And as an internal auditor, when something happens to your organization, your boss would actually come to you and says, have you audited this area? And if you have you found this problem? And if your answer is no, hey, you're dead in the water, right? So you need to be able to actually respond to that speed. And you really have to have that information at your fingertip whenever that happens. And then you need to be able to respond to your stakeholders when the question is raised where was the internal auditor? Right? And again, stakeholders demand faster, more comprehensive coverage of what we do. Maybe if you're not feeling this pressure, maybe your organization is not moving fast enough. Maybe I'm in a different planet. But that's what my peers actually all feel the same. In the large multinational companies, or I also serve for the United Nations Office for Project Services as a chairman of the Audit and Advisory Committee. I actually have the same conversation with a multilateral organization, which is the government of the government. And my peers at ACIIA, whenever I go around in the conferences, we have the same conversation. So you have to be able to do more from the same workforce, talent, or less. Because there's a strong demand about the cost of doing audit, right? How many of you have actually increased budget in the last year? Raise your hand. Some, okay? But audit is a cost to the organization. It's an insurance policy to protect the organization. So if you are a CEO, what happens? The less the cost, the better you are. And if you're getting the same service. If you have an increased service, yes, you can always say, yes, I give you more assurance. That's why it's going to cost you more. Okay? The last point, war for the talent. How many of you are feeling that you're losing people, good people? Your competitors taking your people away? During the pandemic, I lost 30% of my team because they want to work where it's more flexible, or they actually want a different lifestyle. Like I said, working from home, a better tool, right? Maybe not here. I don't know how you guys feeling about it, but that's actually happening around the world. So, in order to actually keep the good people in your team, you really have to be able to innovate, and then be able to actually do things efficiently, effectively, and with the cost efficiency. Okay? So, that's my problem. Please go to the next slide. Oh, sorry. And then I said audit is a cost center. Yes, thank you. Go to the next slide, please. Okay, so yes, you can go one more. Yes, thank you. So, in order to address all these issues, we actually came up with a strategy. So this is a strategy that I was actually talking about yesterday. You really have to have a plan over a few years. My strategic plan is over the next 3 years, okay? And then our plan is very simple. We simplify and integrate the process. We optimize the process, and then we automate. Simple enough, right? So I will explain to each one of the elements in a very short while. I only have 16 minutes to go, so I'll try my best. And if you have any questions on my session, after this session, I will actually stay at the ACIIA booth, so you can come in and ask me questions. I'm sure you're going to have tons of questions. Because it's not, even though if I tell you that it's simple, it's not that simple, okay? Go to the next slide, please. Okay, so when we simplify things, you really have to categorize the work that you do. What do we do in internal audit? We run risk assessment, right? All of you do risk assessment, yes? No, I have no idea what the risk assessment is all about. You do, right? You do risk assessment. Yes? Okay. Not sure? Okay. You do have to do risk assessment to actually decide what you're going to be doing. So, when we simplify, okay, so we do basic audit, we do change reviews, which is actually to cover the transformation, because my company actually does lots of transformation. We do continuous monitoring, like in diligent presentation, if you stayed, they talked about continuous monitoring, which is very important part of what we do. And then we do management requested review, because management will come to us and says, can you actually check this? Right. We also do regulatory reviews. So, and then we also do SOX testing. Sarbanes-Oxley, those who don't know, US does have the rule that every year financial related controls you have to actually test and then report. This is the regulation for the listed companies. So we classify all those different type of work that we do within AIG into two buckets. One we call core assurance. Core means, yes, we will actually do this every year, like SOX testing, audit-based PLC library, so process risk control library. I will explain this to you a little later. It's a database of key critical controls, and then it has the audit program attached to it. And then because it's a database, it also contains the findings and then actions, remediations that's been taken. We also put in regulatory required work, because in certain jurisdictions, I'm sure Indonesia, OJK, like me being in the financial institution, ask certain things that to be done every year. Singapore, they have the outsourcing requirements that we have to actually run every year. So those are the regulatory required elements that needs to be done irrespective of what your risk is. We also do issue validation we classify issues in critical, moderate, and minor. So critical issues, yes, we do it within certain period. Moderate, yes, the next audit and that sort of thing. And then continuous monitoring is very important. So that's actually one bucket of the work we do. And it's almost like a table stake for us. We have to do this every year, no matter what. And then specialized assurance, that another bucket is the transformation coverage for the change reviews, management requested reviews, and then continuous monitoring for the non-PLC library. So think about PLC library as established control that we can audit every year. And by the way, these are high-risk controls. It has to be high risk. It has to be worse for us to actually go in, spend time, and test. And regulators will come in and do the inspection, so we do actually provide services for that. Notice I never said advice, right? Advisory, which is actually in the ACIIA standards. It used to be consulting. To me, advisory and consulting is actually part of assurance, right? Because when we say we give advice, what do? We talk, and then we test certain things, and then we say, well, here's advice to you. Like, for instance, excuse me, this is the Chief Auditor AIG talking, not the chairman of the ACIIA Standards Board talking, okay? Yes, I know, it's like, Mouri-san, you're contradicting yourself. But I never said advisory is wrong. I'm just saying that, in my view, it has to be assurance that's coming from us. What are we? We're the third line, we're internal audit, right? Yes? We're not the first line, we're not the second line, we're the third line. So, my view is everything we do is part of assurance. how do we actually present it? Yes, we can say it's advisory, because in our audit, even our regular audit, we have issues section, which is actually part of the assurance, and then we have the advisory section, which actually relates to inefficiencies in the process. But anyway, so that's what we do. So that's how we simplify the work that we do. Because you have to define what you do very clearly so that your stakeholder actually understand what you're doing. Please go to the next slide. Yes, one more. One more. Yes, one more. Yes, thank you. So, integrate and optimize. So we have actually spent last 2 years creating what we call Process Risk Control Library. It is a database of controls, collection of controls, if you will, of key critical controls. It has control objectives, control descriptions in detail, testing scripts, testing results, and remediation, so that anyone who has basic knowledge of internal audit can actually use it. So we are democratizing the information. We're putting transparency of what we actually have, so that us internal audit, first line, second line, can actually see everything that we do, right? Because who owns controls? Who owns controls? It's the first line. Some control belongs to second line. We never own any controls. We test independently and provide opinion, right? So they should be the one who should be creating the database, not us, but we're actually doing it for them so that they can benefit. And we benefit by actually having this database. So this actually helps us to co-source testing, in which I will actually touch later, right? So like I said, anyone can has a basic understanding of, let's say, having CIA, can actually test if they have what we call normal intelligence and then competencies to do things, right? So I need to hurry up because I only have 8 more minutes. But anyway, I get really excited about talking about this. So we also, like I said, do SOX testing, which is actually annual process. So by the way, for PLC library, we have about 2,500 controls right now in the database. SOX testing, we have about 1,200 controls, but that tests multiple times. So we run about 4,000 tests for SOX every year. And then, so 4,000 plus 2,500, so that's, we run average about 6,000 plus tests every year. That's a lot of number, right? Do you know how many tests do you run every year? No, no idea. Well, we used to be in that situation, but we know now exactly what we do, how many controls that you run, okay? It's very important because a lot of people use auditable entities. We used to do that, but that's actually too big of the chunks that you actually have. So, you know, it's actually helping us to actually identify each and every building blocks within the control sphere within the organization, so that it's like you can actually build the Lego in a different way, because each piece is a key critical control. So you can do horizontal audits throughout the world. For insurance, we have distribution, underwriting, claims, and the policy administration. So those are really the key building piece of the business. We can cut it, slice and dice it in any way. If we want to look at the Indonesia legal entity or Asia Pacific region or globally the same process, this allows us to actually be able to do it flexibly. We are adapting the SOX testing processes for audit. So plan, field work, reporting, it's streamlined. and its consistency is the key. And we also created the Center of Excellence for doing this whole process re-engineering, so that it's actually sitting within our team, helping us to do things better. Please go to the next slide. Oh, sorry. And this actually creates utility for our auditors to do more specialized assurance, because like I said, core assurance is a table stake. This is something that we have to do every year. So if we have to do this every year, let's do it more efficiently, faster, cheaper, better, so that we actually put more time in what our stakeholders want us to do, which is a specialized assurance. Go to the next slide, please. So the PLC library. So like I said, everyone does risk assessment, right? So the traditional one is this one, risk-based. So you do high, medium, low, and then you actually put that into a cycle, whether it's an annual coverage, 2 to 3 years, or 3 to 5 years, right? I assume that's what you do. I call that traditional way of doing things. Now, on the right side, all red. Why? Because it's high risk. Everything is high risk for us to do. So that's why we have to cover it every year. Now, there is a different shades of color within the controls, what we call controls, right? There are important controls, not so important controls, and some important controls, not so important controls. We only focus our finite resource to important ones, okay, for the core assurance. And then for not so important controls, and then the emerging controls, or new controls, or emerging risk, they will catch it through the specialized assurance. So that way, we don't actually leave anything behind. So this is seismic change for my team. This is a paradigm shift. You have to think different, or differently. Yes. Next slide, please. Yes, please. Yes, thank you. So, the above process is a normal one. We do pre-planning, planning, field work, reporting, and then follow-up, okay? The current process, we're aiming to cut the time into half and still be able to achieve the same objective in delivering more audits that we can. So, like I said, we created this PLC library. If the control doesn't change from year to year, what do you do in planning? So we typically used to spend like 2 to 3 weeks in planning. Having walkthroughs, do the process mapping, and going back to the stakeholders and confirming. Now, today, with PLC library, if the process doesn't change, if the control doesn't change, it only takes one meeting. And probably some follow-up conversation. But from 2 to 3 weeks to 2 to 3 days. Then, fieldwork. We actually co-source testing with the vendors, which is Accenture, India. So we ship that testing to them, right? So they will continue to test like a factory. So we'll continue to actually push the testing, they'll continue to test, and AIG auditors will get at the reporting end. And of course, there's a conversation between our co-sourcing partner to us, and then we will say, okay, well, you guys actually write the issues, and we'll talk to the stakeholder, right? So there's a clear division of responsibilities. Because you can't do everything by yourself. And it's okay. Don't feel bad that you're not losing your job, but you're actually doing the different things within your competency. So we train all our auditors to think this way, right? And you feel like, this is not good. I'm going to lose my job. No. If you're willing to change and doing different things, yes, you will never lose a job. And this is actually designed to give more time to our auditors to do things that we always wanted to do, which is actually specialized assurance, not the core assurance for us. Okay, next slide, please. So, I only have 11 more minutes, so, but, indulge me, so I'll go through the automation. So this is our very simple view of automation. Where can we actually automate, right? When we talk about automation, well, first thing is, okay, so you have to do planning. Now, you have the planning documents, and, like I said, if nothing changes, you can still use the planning document that you used last year to this year. You have to just change the date, right? And then what our auditor spends most of the time is data acquisition to test. Because you have to go and then seek the data and then get that data from the stakeholder or direct from the source. This is where we get the most bugs out of the automation. Because if you can go to the same source, assuming nothing changes, then, oops, it went off. But anyway, you still have it, right? Good. I just don't see it here. But assuming nothing changes, you can actually automate that. And then, go to the same source and then get the different set of data. Obviously, you're going to have to change the audit period, right? And then you can still use the same algorithm. We use ACIIA, to be very blunt, because it's very simple, very easy to use, thanks to Diligent. So our auditors are all trained to do this, right? Go get the data, and then once you get the data, then actually our PLC library has the audit testing algorithm that actually plugs in, right? So that way, anyone can do it, right? As long as you actually write that script properly. Obviously, if the process changes, yes, you're going to have to do the full steps. You do the walkthroughs, you do the process mapping, and then you change it. But year over year, my experience is the change is about 10 to 15% within the organization. So rest of 80 to 85%, we can actually do these, processes, right? And then, yes, I'm trying to actually use artificial intelligence, generative AI, to actually speed up, walkthroughs and writing reports, whether it's Copilot or ChatGPT. Assuming that my company allows me, I'm actually trying to convince them that this is the best way to actually do things. But, so those are the things. And then, for the files, once you finish audit, then you can actually store it away for the next year, right? So that way, come next year, you just pull it up, and then you look at it. If any changes, if nothing changes, you go straight to the testing. This is as simple as it gets. And it can be done. But it takes time. Next slide, please. Okay. I'm just going to show you. I can't see anything on the screen. I guess I'm out of the time. Do I still have time to do things? Okay, all right, good. Thank you. Teremakashi. So this is the future that I see. Annual testing for the core assurance. One auditor assigned to per control. Like I said, 2,500 controls. Each auditor has so many controls, right? So they know exactly what they have to do every year. And of course, they will continue to update the controls because, as I said, 10 to 15% of the control changes year over year, right? So they will actually catch that through continuous monitoring. Because all my auditors actually will meet with the stakeholders either monthly or quarterly. So they will actually talk about the changes, what are the things that they're doing, projects. So all that things, we will actually catch that. And then through the transformation activities, specialized assurance, we catch them. Then, one audit platform. That we actually do have in-house built platform right now. And we're actually looking at, what other platforms are available now. But you have to have a single set of platform for people to do things. And then one testing center. So this is something that we're working on right now, combining both SOX testing and then audit, test one place, and significant increase in specialized assurance. This is where I see the future, serving to a stakeholder, not just doing the testing. Right? So I think this will be the last slide. Good. So I was supposed to actually do Q&A, but I guess I ran out of time. So if you have any questions, I gave you lots of information, right? So I'm sure that you're thinking like, okay, what the hell is Morrison talking about the PLC library? I can actually explain to you, but one thing that I will leave it to you, if you want to do transformation, if you want to do innovation, you really need to work with people, your people, and your stakeholders, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not the tool. It's us, auditors, have to actually have a different mindset, really change the way that we actually do things. And it's okay to change, right? It's okay to do things different way than what you've been doing in the last 10, 20 years, 30 years. Like for me, I've been doing this for the last 35 years, and I don't get enough because there's always the opportunity to change. And with that, terima kasih.
Thank you so much, Mr. Naohiro Mouri, for the insightful presentation.